Yeah, that ref count is kind of slow, isn't it? Today on the show, we're gonna go through some of the things that we didn't like from the brand new gameplay reveal from 2K22. Hey everybody, welcome back to Assemble. I'm Matt. Great to have you here on the show. I'm excited. We had some gameplay. It was decent. I enjoyed a lot of it. A lot of what I saw was good, but there are some things obviously that we can nitpick, and we could sit there and say, hey dum-dum, maybe you should wait to get the controller in your hand and then play it and see for yourself. To that I say, you're right. But I think it's only fair that we look at some of the things that are not so great and we critique this thing a little bit, because I asked a lot of you what you didn't like. And that thing we just opened up with, the ref count, woo-wee, man, that is the first thing that everybody is not into right now. Watching this match back a couple of times, I kept looking at this ref spot because so many of you in the community highlighted this, saying that this is way too slow. I agree with you. This ref count that they have put in here, at least for the demo, is very, very slow. It's a tricky thing though, right? Like let's give the devs a little bit of slack and credit here that putting together a wrestling game, trying to get the right timing for a ref count, it's a tricky thing that you want to balance. Don't forget that in years past, we have seen these things get adjusted in patches. So when we look at things like even the meters that we've had in the previous years, I think that it's either, you correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm usually wrong, but in 2K19 or 2K20, I remember that the meter had issues where the actual timing for it, the window, was not large enough, and 2K went in and patched it after. These things can get adjusted, but that ref count that we saw, I don't feel that that was very good. I will say this, for big spot moments, you kind of do like when the ref does a little bit more of a slower, more final pin, where it's a little bit slower. I do kind of like that, but if you're going to be doing like quick roll-ups, you're doing a lot of pin combinations in the game, not only do we have the animation of waiting for the ref to sometimes slide in and actually get to position to count, then waiting for him to count, that's a little bit too long, isn't it? Hopefully they can fix it. Hopefully they'll just rejig it. Now, sticking in that vein of, the ref and going through some pins, button mashing for the pin. On the Xbox controller, they're saying it's the A button and that you are going to frantically just smash that A button into oblivion to be able to break up a pin. Very arcadey. Don't know how I feel about it. A lot of you in the community are concerned about doing this. 2K did confirm that we will be able to swap it and go from either choosing the A button to smash that thing or going back to a traditional meter to kick out. So we do have the options, which is a great thing. You don't want to feel like you're backed into a corner here when it comes to the controls. Hopefully we can adjust more of the controls, but I digress. But yeah, that A button, not too sure. I feel like I'm gonna break a lot of controllers when it comes to this game. Another item on the list, the ropes. The ring ropes didn't look great in terms of the physics. When they're actually gonna put an opponent through the ropes, or Damien Priest is doing a springboard moonsault for some reason off of the ropes, it didn't look great. It looked like years past where they are kind of glitching in and out when your opponent is getting tied up and hits the ropes and they kind of fall down an invisible barrier. I get it. It's hard to make these games, but we have had 2 years of development as well, so I kind of feel like I wish that the physics with the ring ropes was a little bit better. It's not a deal breaker by any means. We get over it, we move on. But it was something that I noticed because we did get the opponents thrown into the ropes quite a bit, and there were some main spots that you could see where they are just kind of falling off of it and they're kind of elasticy springing back on the ropes. Didn't look great. Now a big one too, aside from the ref and the slow tapping and the counting, another big one that everyone is highlighting right now is we are kind of split on this new camera angle. Now at first glance, watching this gameplay, going back and watching it again and again, it strikes me as different. I'm engaged. I am much more close to the action. I like that I can kind of see the wrestlers' facial animations. I like a lot of it. I also really like, aside from the main camera, I really like the camera cuts to big spots and bigger moments. So Ray doing a moonsault, or you're having a giant suplex, or they're going for a cover. The different camera angles they're using, I think, heightens the drama of the match and makes you feel closer to the action and like you are watching WWE programming. Those are all good things. But The overall camera angle, a lot of you in the community have highlighted this, and Twitter has highlighted this too. Not too sure about that main camera overall, because I wonder how it's going to be in multi-man matches for sure. But having the height differences of different opponents, like you have Damien Priest much higher than Rey Mysterio, much taller, and with that, I don't know if it throws you off at all, or even the depth of the match itself, like the ring. A lot of you have pointed out that it makes the ring feel really tight and really small, and not like WCW ring small, like just really compact and tight. It doesn't make you feel like you're in this big, larger-than-life match. It also can probably take away too from the aesthetics of like different arenas. You want to be able to enjoy and feel like you were in a stadium match, or you were doing this giant pay-per-view, but if the camera is constantly brought in super tight, I think you lose a bit of that feel. Hopefully, different camera angles come into play a lot, which will kind of separate it from that. But the main camera angle, I'm with you. I'm kind of on the fence about it. Gotta play the game to be able to see what it really feels like, because I'm just not sure, but it's different. Could be good. It could just take some getting used to. Now the controls. We did an episode yesterday talking about the controls. Matt's tired. Matt's done a lot of shows lately, but that's okay. We keep going, don't we? We grind. But I did the show covering all of the controls, so go check that one out, please, because it's a doozy. One of the things that we have to make note of is hitting the grapple button and then to initiate different moves, and specifically Irish Whip. We did see this in the gameplay trailer where there are Irish Whip moments, and I'm not sure how players are going to feel about having to tap the button to initiate a grapple and then an Irish Whip. I don't know if that's going to slow things down. It feels like games of yesterday of lock up and then do your motion and your move, much more in the arcade style of gameplay and less simulation. So I don't know how it's going to be. I hope it's smooth. You want to be able to have smooth motions of being able to transition to Irish Whip and then perform your moves. I don't want to lock up every time, so hopefully it's not going to be a full lockup and it will easily transition for different button combinations. We can remap some of the things when it comes to customizing combos, but hopefully we can adjust things a little bit more than that. Now, I mentioned that arcade feel for some of it, like the controls and the camera itself. It's giving players the impression that it's much more on the arcade side of things. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing, it's just different, but much more on the fighting game side. And yeah, because the camera is different, there's a lot of strikes that we saw, at least just in this reveal. I know we can do a ton of moves, we can do heavy attacks and light attacks and so on, but at least for the gameplay they showed, a lot of striking done by Rey, kicks and punches being done and thrown left and right, much more fighting style impressions, and again, a little bit more arcadey, felt a little more sped up, which I don't terribly mind that the game, maybe it's going at a little bit of a quicker pace, but for some players, they're really going after that full like WWE simulation aspect, redoing what's going on TV. I understand from the developer side, it's a tricky balance. Can't make everybody happy, that you got to be able to have, you want simulation, but you want it to be, fast paced, not boring, and be able to actually keep the matches going and having a good flow of everything. Delicate balance, but it's giving a lot of players out there the impression that it's much more on the arcade side of things, and I don't know how a lot of you feel about that. Now, kind of sticking on the conversation of having an arcade feel to things, the other thing that I'm not sure I'm keen on is going to be the red glow up borders on the sides when there's more damage being done to the opponent. That is very arcade style to me, and I'm not sure how that's going to play out. Maybe it's something that we can just easily toggle on and off in the menus and the options, and if we can, awesome. I have a feeling that we can, because usually with these games we can toggle a lot of stuff on and off, from the HUD to other graphics, referee count, all those things. So that may be something that we can easily just navigate on and off, but I felt like, again, it was giving us much more of an arcade impression of this game. Having red glowing corners to your game, and I'm not too sure about that. It's like the SmackDown vs. Raw games when you had like almost a glass shatter when like you're doing a finisher and things like that, or the big logo for SmackDown would come out across the screen when you're hitting like a finisher. And one of the last things that I want to talk about with all of you today, and thank you so much for watching, and make sure you guys subscribe and hit that like button if you enjoy all of Assemble and Matt and his shenanigans here on the channel. The last thing is talking about character models. Yeah, it ain't great, is it? I mean, a lot of it looks really good. Just some of it, is not that great. And I think we are probably headed in the direction of like, not everyone is going to look spectacular. Some character models are going to look fantastic. Other people point out in the community online that, you know, I don't think we should get necessarily the current scan of Hulk Hogan in the game. Maybe use the iteration of Hulk Hogan like he did in the 80s, because if you're putting on the facial captures that you're getting of them now, today, how they look today, it can look a little bit wonky on their character model. They've scanned Booker T, which we can see in the trailers. And cool, we get Booker T, and we get maybe current day Booker T, but how is this character model really gonna look when you want like 1999 Booker T? So I do have my concerns about that. We've highlighted character models like Charlotte Flair, because again, hopefully it's the lighting and the angles, because it's not that flattering, is it? But other ones look really good. I think Roman Reigns is getting a little bit better and better every time I look. Becky and Bianca, a lot of the women look good. Hair physics look good. Undertaker, I'm not too sure about. His facial details looked a little bit flat. Rey Mysterio obviously looks really good. Eddie Guerrero I think looks really good. Even Kane looks good based on like the little trailer bits that we had in there. And small details like Sheamus walking to the ring and having like his chain actually like kind of bounce off of his chest. I think there's really cool little details in there that look good. But yeah, some of the character models not great. And the one that really sticks out to me where I kind of went, ooh, that looks rough, is the 4 seconds of My Rise that they showed off. Shawn Michaels and Beth Phoenix in the back, presumably with your Create a Superstar in the Performance Center. And yeah, you got Shawn Michaels. You got head coach Shawn Michaels in the back. All right, cool. Hopefully he's playable in the game too. You got Beth Phoenix in there. Awesome. But their character models, that felt like PS3. And again, I hope I'm way wrong, and I hope it's just for that sliver that they showed us that maybe it wasn't just the most flattering thing and it will come out a little bit more polished in the end. But those things do have me concerned that they're not going to be quite up to par with like how your character looks or another superstar. And some of them, like Beth Phoenix and Shawn Michaels in those backstage segments, they're going to be a little bit rough around the edges. So please let me know in the comments below, what concerns do you have after looking at the gameplay footage we had between Rey and Damian Priest? Hit me up in the comments and I will see you guys on the next episode.